on March 4th, 2024. Time is 7. Please call.
Member Matheny.
Here.
Member Warren.
Here.
Member Short.
Here.
Member McLeister.
Here.
Member Wyrick.
Here.
Member Orr.
Here.
Member Owens is absent. 6 present.
Motion to excuse member Owens.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Just 2 minutes.
Ben, do you want to read the 3A?
Like the motion?
Yeah, just the
Or do you want me to just introduce it for
just
you?
the description.
So our first item for your guys' consideration this evening is an ordinance to reclassify 15 parcels on the back side of the Hoover District property. It is one entire city block in between Park, Whitworth, Power, and Taft Streets, as you can see on the screen. At present, I would probably say 2/3 of the block are owned by Maple Street Commerce and will be part of the Diebold-Nixdorf development, and actually part of what sparked this rezoning is they approached us about vacating Park and Howard Streets, which is that sort of little L on the south and the west side. So the southern half of the block is completely vacant. There are no standing structures left. On the northern side of the block, there are some structures left. There's a small apartment complex, 2 rental homes, and 2 owner-occupied homes. Right now, the block is zoned light industrial. We're proposing rezoning it Main Street Center, which I realize there's a typo on my map here. That's MC-C. Main Street Center, which would move the industrial uses slightly away from the adjoining neighborhood and keep a commercial use on the block. For tonight, we just need to send this to the Planning Commission.
Then this kind of puts a barrier instead of just being light industrial right to residential, which is
Correct.
nice.
So across Taft Street is a residential R50 neighborhood. Right now, it directly abuts the light industrial use. The existing light industrial use on south of this block, where Myers Control Power currently is pre-existing. It will be there until it's no longer there. We can't do that, change anything about that, but we can prevent more light industrial from being built next to home.
Any comments, questions? I'll make a motion that we move item 3A to the Planning Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I'll make a motion we postpone further consideration of 3A until the Planning Commission makes a recommendation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And moving on, we just want to go ahead and the first 3 are all going to be sent to, hopefully, to the Planning Commission. If you want to read or introduce second.
So the second item for your consideration this evening, you may remember late last year, we authorized an annexation of 3 single-family homes that Walsh University owns on the backside of their campus on Filzer Street. This is just the last step that we need to do for that annexation, which is establish their city zoning and what voting ward they'll be in. So to simplify things, we just did one combined ordinance with both map updates. So they would become, our proposal is to make them R70 zoning, which is consistent with the existing Plain Township single family. And then we are proposing to put them in voting ward 3. According to the Census Bureau, there are 7 people who live in these 3 properties. It won't substantially alter the voting makeup or balance of our wards.
Okay. Pretty self-explanatory. Any comments, questions?
No, that makes sense.
I'll make the motion to recommend 3B be sent to the Planning Commission for further consideration.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I'll make a motion to postpone further consideration of item 3B until the planning commission recommendation is received.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Ben, if you'd like to read the third one as well.
So the third item for you tonight, and our last zoning amendment, is an alteration to our fence code for the Main Street district. At present, in the Main Street Center district, as written, fences are not permitted. The proposal before you this evening would permit fences up to 6 feet tall in the Main Street Center, but they would be limited to faux wrought iron. So think of the St. Paul's fence would be the only type of thing you'd be allowed to build in our downtown. This came up because the school district and St. Paul's are both considering fencing for their various school facilities, both to protect children and to stop balls from going places. And we came to realize that currently they're not allowed to build a fence at all.
Now, how did where the Hoover property is, how did they get that fence up?
That was built before Main Street zoning was
Okay.
and that is another type of fence that would be permitted. Yes.
That type of fence would be. And then a while back, we had, we ruled on something, I call it the Soretta fence rule, you know? So he was going from what, 6 foot to 4 foot, I believe.
Like maximum height?
Maximum.
Actually, what he wanted is it was around his pool. And
Yeah.
what was required, and correct me, it might be backwards, it was a certain size that was a special order. So
Right.
it made sense to have the
Smaller.
different, the smaller size.
That was for swimming pools in
swimming
particular.
pools. Okay.
Our code said 5 feet. The state code said 4 feet. We amended our code to match the state
Okay.
code.
No problem.
This is separate from swimming
Separate from
pools.
that, okay. Thank you.
Okay. I mean, I think that makes very much a lot of common sense. So,
Yep.
any comments, questions?
One question on the part where it says fences must be made out of vinyl, chain link metal. I mean, we limit it to just vinyl or other materials that are similar to vinyl?
Yeah.
Restricting ourselves there?
We are perhaps restricting ourselves there. The vinyl or non-chain link metal rule is currently existing. That was a aesthetic consideration that the previous council wanted when they enacted the Main Street Center zoning.
Yeah, we don't want chain link fences.
Yeah, so I did not consider whether or not to change that in bringing this to you tonight.
Because that's a metal fence on the Hoover property, those.
Correct.
Correct. But that wouldn't be allowed? That type of fence would not be allowed on the main street?
That would be because it's not chain link.
Okay, but it's metal, not aluminum.
Correct. Well, aluminum is a type of metal.
So can we do, well, you take a vinyl fence and a steel fence, there's a big difference between the two.
Yes.
So I think maybe we should, if they want to spend the money and put that up, that would be great. I think we should have both types of metal.
Well, aluminum is metal.
No, but you know what I mean, but stainless, yeah.
Yeah, we're not restricting that. I just didn't know any other considerations for other materials.
Others,
Well, or wood.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want that. Composite, yeah.
Well, wouldn't you argue, and I'm not a chemist, but isn't the composite decking, isn't that still considered vinyl? It's not.
I
Okay,
guess we'll go to planning commission and see what they can.
see what they,
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, we can.
Right there.
In bringing this to you, all we were looking at was whether or not the fence was permitted, not what it was made out of. So we didn't even touch that part of the code.
I'm sure planning commission will give their feedback.
yeah, they'll give it to them.
I'll make a motion to send item 3C to the planning commission for further consideration.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I'll make a motion to postpone further consideration of item 3C until after the planning commission's recommendation is received.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then Ben, if you want to introduce item 3D as well, please.
Your fourth item and the final item for community economic development is the annual approval of the continuation of the community reinvestment area tax incentive agreement for 1303 to 1305 Northridge Apartments. This is just something council has to do every year. As long as they meet their requirements, they get to keep their tax incentive.
If I may, I'm a member of, or I'm council's representative to the CRA board, and they have met their requirements, and it appears as though they're keeping the property in very good condition, and we voted to extend that to the meeting this year. So I would be happy to make the motion, unless there's further discussion, be happy to make the motion that we move this item to the agenda, item 4A to the council agenda.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Hey, go for it. You're on the CRA boards. I appreciate it. Finance property.
Okay. Would you like to talk about this one?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So obviously Gina and I have been here now a few years. One thing Gina wanted to look at, that we finally started to look at, was our investment portfolio and the firm that manages it. So we did a lot of research into the 3 different companies to bid out and see what we might be missing in terms of allocation of investments, costs to the city, and so we decided that we would like to go with Meter Investment. We found that they, first of all, one of the largest investment firm for public entities in Ohio. They manage money for cities like Columbus, Alliance, Cincinnati, Brunswick, Ashland. I mean, I go on, North Canton's local schools, along with allowing us to have the lowest cost fee percentage out of the 3 that we looked into. For example, we would have paid $16,000 less last year for the fiscal year if we had been with them. All things being, the same in terms of investments. So they gave us some observations of our portfolio, what they would like to see us moving forward, what they would change, and Gina and I liked what they had to say. And so, moving from 20 basis points in cost for our portfolio in terms of the value of our portfolio to 10% or 10 basis points, which is quite a decent amount, nice chunk. So that's something that we really considered, along with the other things I mentioned. So we would like to move with Meter Investments, and we believe we could have that transition by the end of the first quarter in 2024.
That's great. So thank you for doing that. I know over the years we've looked at different things. I think I remember.
Yeah.
A few years ago, we did it with the us person who was in that position. So it's
2018 was the last
yeah.
time we switched to the
Okay.
so.
That's great.
How often do we meet?
So we've been with them, anytime we reach out to them with that, we get or monthly statements. So, and that was actually another thing I forgot to mention. UBS, Gina and I have had a tough time reconciling some investments each month, and so this gives us the option to, or the ability to have an easier month end close.
Mm-hmm.
And not, so, but yeah, we can reach out to them, if they're at our monthly for sure, if we have any issues.
Meter's very impressive,
Yeah.
and they have a lot of relevant experience.
Yeah, and they have,
Very much in favor.
with how big of a company they have and the investments they have that ability to purchase investments at a lower price because they own such a firm. So, benefit to the city.
Definitely.
It's my motion to move to the agenda for next week.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Moving. That would be
Dave.
Dave, yep. Dave.
I would like to put it on the spot, have him read a 5K for us to start the conversation.
All right, so this one is amending commercial and heavy vehicles. So basically what we're trying to do is clear up our code section. The existing code as it's written now is pretty difficult to read, a little hard to understand, and the fee structure is a little convoluted. So the rewriting of this chapter is just kind of bringing things to more flat fees, flat $100 for the permit fees, and making the code a little more streamlined and easy to read and interpret.
So it has to do with oversized vehicles coming through the city, and thanks to administration, I guess Ben, maybe Liam was involved in making sure that that's also part of our permit process, so that they can actually do that online.
Chief Kemp was
Right.
credit to Chief Kemp for bringing it forward and saying he wanted it part of the online permitting process.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
Streamlining things and making it online so people can get the information that they need, to get the permits that they need, process it quickly. That helps speed up everything for everybody. Makes the city easier to work with. So,
Thank you, Chief and administration.
Yep.
That's great that it's available online.
any other questions? Make a motion that we move item 5A to the council agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. David,
Lane, will you read 5B?
Yeah, absolutely. So for this one, we are going to make some updates to our fire code, chapters 1501. So essentially, we are going to combine chapters 1503 and 1505 into chapter 1501 and combine all of that into our fire and life safety code, essentially just bringing it all into one, getting rid of some unnecessary provisions that would basically be rendered moot between the two, and just kind of bringing it all together for better effectiveness and clarity. We're also updating the enforcement mechanism. So at present, our fire inspectors, if they find a violation of the Ohio Fire Code, can only arrest someone and charge them with a misdemeanor, which obviously sometimes is not very applicable when a building is missing an exit sign. Who do I arrest? So as part of these amendments, we would also bring the fire code enforcement into our existing code enforcement mechanisms so that the issue is charged against the property, not against the person.
Good consolidation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's common practice in most other municipalities, it seems.
Yeah, for things that are issues with buildings related to fire code, you typically see a code enforcement process, but we'd still keep the misdemeanor power for things like parking in front of a fire hydrant.
That makes sense.
Motion to move 5B to the council agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Lane, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
5B.
Yeah, absolutely. So for this one, we are amending Chapter 135, specifically for personnel regulations for emergency medical service, essentially eliminating the assistant or part-time assistant chief position, making it full-time in lieu of the battalion chief position.
We had talked about this.
And this was a recommendation from the Fitch report.
Yeah.
That was
The battalion chief and now the assistant chief. Eliminating the part-time assistant chief. Fine. Well,
I'm good with it.
Yeah, we had talked about this.
let's move item 5C to the council agenda.
Bill's got it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thanks everyone
Good job,
for coming.
Thank you. Didn't know he was gonna put me on the spot.
Neither did I, but you did well.